What's up, everybody? We have some big fight news coming out. We have Conor McGregor possibly coaching Ultimate Fighter. We have Jorge Masvidal saying there's some big fight news coming soon. Charles Oliveira versus Beniel Dariush targeted for May. And then we have pretty much confirmed, not necessarily there, but we know the UFC is working on Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo for UFC Brooklyn. It will probably happen, so I'll say it's confirmed, but none of the sites are really giving me anything that a deal has been made, but it seems all but confirmed. So let's get right into the news breakdown here. We have Conor McGregor possibly coaching the Ultimate Fighter. I think this is a great idea. I think it would help the Ultimate Fighter a lot. I feel like the last couple seasons have been pretty boring, at least with the coaches. There's not like a bunch of drama. Feels like a bunch of manufactured shit. So I think Conor McGregor on TUF would be great. I'm really hoping it goes through. It said that he was offered a contract for it. Dana White reposted it on his story. So I'm really hoping this happens. I'm hoping it's against Masvidal because I don't know how good one would be with a Michael Chandler, in all honesty. But if it's like a Jorge Masvidal or Colby Covington or pretty much what? Who else could you put there? I think those are like the only two guys, like a Cole. I'm not saying Colby is the guy there, but I think for sure they're eyeing Masvidal or Chandler. I think Masvidal is the perfect guy for that. Masvidal did post today that there is some big fight news coming out. So whether that is the Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor or what Gilbert Burns said, he put eyes in London. I don't even know if that's correct. Like, is Gilbert Burns really going to be fighting in London against Masvidal? I mean, it would make sense. Not necessarily doesn't matter for Gilbert Burns. It's not like he took a bunch of damage, so he could do the fight. And it is a big fight for him. He would probably make a lot of money for that fight. But it's also under the Leon Usman fight, and maybe Masvidal can create enough drama and say if he beats Gilbert Burns, he might be able to angle himself for a title shot. I don't know. If that's what he means, and that's why Gilbert Burns responded, maybe that's what he's trying to angle here, is get on that UFC London card so he can maybe get some beef with Leon Edwards, and hopefully he gets that title shot, which would be absolutely annoying. But it is what it is at this point. If he does beat Gilbert Burns, you can argue that maybe he does earn a title shot, but I feel like I've seen too many Jorge title shots and then him just getting destroyed. So, but it's not like he's a horrible fighter at this point. Like, he is older, but he did lose to Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, probably the two best guys at the top of the division, at least at that time. There's some newer guys coming in that are pretty good, but yeah, so I don't necessarily know where to go with this. Like, hopefully we get some news released from Jorge Masvidal. Hopefully it's Ultimate Fighter news, because that would be great. Angle it for International Fight Week or maybe a month before it. I think International Fight Week would actually probably be perfect for it, because they're like stacking the early quarter with all these title fights with the Leon Usman fight. Then you have John Jones versus Gane. I think John Jones said, or I'm sorry, Stipe said he wanted to fight in July, but you could probably move that to August or something. But you can probably put a Conor card during International Fight Week. Say it's like UFC 30, like absolutely stack that card. And you can go with that. Angle it with the Ultimate Fighter. Put Conor McGregor back in the USADA pool while you're waiting. You can do the Ultimate Fighter with Jorge Masvidal as the court case is still going on, so you don't have to worry about that, all the legal stuff interfering with it. And it's perfect build up for a fight. So perfect for the Ultimate Fighter. Perfect for if these two guys actually get matched up. Kind of hoping we get some news soon, but we'll see how that goes. I'm super pumped for the Ultimate Fighter if Conor McGregor is on the show, even if it's like a Colby versus, I don't want to see Bilal Muhammad, but like a Colby versus Gilbert Burns on the Ultimate Fighter would be great. Conor versus Masvidal would be great. I'm fine with either one of them. I just want an entertaining show, in all honesty, and Conor coming back would be great also. So let's move on to the next news. We have Beniel Dariush versus Charles Oliveira being made for May, or at least rumored as of like an hour ago, that they're targeting May for this matchup. I actually think Charles Oliveira will probably win this matchup. I think this is a great matchup to be made. I don't know where this leaves Dustin Poirier in the division for any of his matchups, in all honesty. I don't know what the hell he wants at this point. I think he's going to have to be sitting out for a little bit unless maybe they put like an Arman Sarukian versus a Dustin Poirier, but that's a pretty solid jump there, because you have Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev We have Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. We have now Beniel Dariush versus Charles Oliveira. So who else is there for Dustin Poirier to fight? Does he think he gets a title shot after that last matchup? If he does, that's crazy, but I don't know what Dustin Poirier is doing. I don't know what this means for him, but I do think for this matchup, I think I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira. I think Beniel Dariush could definitely win this. I think with time off that Charles Oliveira is getting right now, I think hopefully he can recover. He took a lot of damage during that title run, and I think it started stacking up with each other, and that's why I don't know, he started becoming a little bit more chinny. So hopefully he can, take a little bit of rest and recover a little bit, so he's not absolutely destroying his chin. But Dariush has like some weird power. Like he can drop for sure Charles Oliveira, but Charles Oliveira just mixes it up pretty fast, will walk you down. So it'd be just more of Dariush just swinging, hoping to catch Charles Oliveira. But I think Charles Oliveira can win this. He's fast, has a lot of power in his hands, and he can walk down Dariush. Maybe the takedowns will be there for him, and we see a pretty good fight on the ground too. But I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira. I think the X factor here is his striking. So that's just a little quick prediction. I'll probably do an early prediction breakdown for this one when I look at more of the tape and see who I'll go with then. But for right now, I'm choosing Charles Oliveira. I think he's just got the X factor on the feet for sure. For Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo being targeted for UFC Brooklyn, I believe it is UFC 287 in April. Good fight to be made. I'm not sure what they're going to do with O'Malley. I heard some people were saying they're going to do O'Malley versus if Cheeto wins. Or actually, I think I've heard people say if O'Malley will fight whoever wins versus Cheeto and Sandhagen, which I don't know about that. I think they're actually going to give O'Malley the title shot, in all honesty. I think that's actually a good idea. I think the UFC, for right now, especially for Sean O'Malley, I don't know if Sean O'Malley would have been ready by this time. I think this is good for Sean O'Malley. He can work on his wrestling till the fight after this. So basically, whoever wins this fight, is going to wrestle you, pretty much, is what it's going to be like. So he can train his wrestling no matter what for about, a year? Maybe a little bit less than a year. So he can keep working on his grappling and wrestling and hopefully be prepared for the matchup for whoever wins. I think it's going to be Aljamain Sterling. I think Henry Cejudo coming off I don't want to say couch, but it's not like he's been training, but he hasn't been in like that peak form that we've seen him in. And I just don't know what shape Henry Cejudo will be in. I think he's in like his mid-30s. He's going to be rusty. He hasn't done this in a while. And I think Aljamain Sterling can get it done on the ground. I think he's probably a little bit of a better wrestler. And he's a little unorthodox on the feet too. So I think he's going to be a little harder to hit. So I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling for this one, probably by decision. I think he can probably take the back of Henry Cejudo and just point him on the ground like he does to pretty much everybody. So I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling. Then we'll see Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. I don't think even if Cheeto wins, you can argue Cheeto gets a title shot, but I don't think they would give that to Cheeto for the title shot over an O'Malley. Maybe you put them together and have them with a big fight, like a big co-main event under a title match, but I don't see UFC doing that. I feel like it holds the division back a little bit because what clear number one contender is there in that division at this point? We have Merab's not going to fight Aljamain Sterling, and Merab's already scheduled with Petr Yan. So with this matchup, I feel like Sean O'Malley is the guy you put in here if you want to keep the division running. I feel like we'd be waiting for a while for the Cheeto versus O'Malley fight, assuming that Cheeto takes decent damage and he doesn't just automatically KO Corey Sandhagen. But I am going to go with Aljamain Sterling in this one. I think he's going to be able to take the back of Henry Cejudo and pretty much point him out. So that's what I'm going with that one. For the quick picks for these three recent matchups being made, we have Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. Kelvin Gastelum being scheduled to fight Chris Curtis after Gastelum pulled out of his last matchup. Big surprise. GM3 versus Joe Piper. Those are the not big matchups, but those are the most recent matchups with a pretty solid caliber of fights. So yeah, I'm just gonna break down these ones real quick, or I'm just gonna give you my quick pick. We have Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. I'm gonna go Jalen Turner. I think he's gonna be faster on the feet, and he's super big for that division. So I think he's just gonna be able to finish Dan Hooker in this one. Maybe he chokes him out, kind of like how he did with Brad Riddell, but they have different. Dan Hooker and Brad Riddell have different tendencies, so I think maybe he can do quite a bit of damage on Hooker and then maybe get him down and submit him there. And then we have Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. I'm going to go Chris Curtis. Kelvin Gastelum can't seem to stay in fights, and maybe he doesn't make it there, but I think Kelvin Gastelum coming off 2 years off, and Chris Curtis with this really good boxing that he has, good takedown defense. I don't think there should be any issues for him. I'm going to go Chris Curtis for this one, winning by a decision. And then GM3 versus Joe Piper. Joe Piper's going to win it for sure. But GM3 is just weird, in all honesty. I can't remember. Who did he fight last time? It was like, it was Silva. He shouldn't have won that fight, but he somehow did. And I think this one might be similar to the Hamzat fight. I think we could see Joe Piper just pretty much make quick work of him. So that's how I see that fight going. Not too many. There's some good fights being made, but these are probably the names that are being made at this point. Saeed Nurmagomedov. Yeah, Saeed Nurmagomedov I think is going to be Jonathan Martinez, but that one should be fun. What else? I think that's pretty much all the bigger caliber fights. Chaos Williams will probably win. Those are the fights that are being made. Those are little quick picks. I don't think I'm going to do early prediction or breakdown videos for these ones. And maybe a Gastelum, Chris Curtis, or Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner, but quick picks being made there. Hope you guys enjoyed the news breakdown. Didn't really have an early prediction or breakdown video made for this one. Maybe I'll do like Shavkat versus Jeff Neal soon. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys.